First of all, a very good morning to all of you, respected my senior doctors, my senior colleagues and my batchmates. Today I am going to start with a question, that is whether to be in mesh or to be with mesh. This question arises since prevalence of urinary incontinence is about 25 to 55% of women worldwide, with 50% of them having stress type of urinary incontinence. And only 1 in 4 women seeks medical advice either due to embarrassment, limited access to healthcare, or poor screening by the healthcare providers. And secondly, availability of variety of surgical management options ranging from historical anterior repair to currently popular mesh repair, making it challenging for a surgeon to provide most satisfactory option for her patient. And so today I am going to discuss briefly about this problem, that is stress urinary incontinence, advances of the surgical management. Starting from what is urinary incontinence, it is the objective loss of urine that presents social or hygienic problem to the individual. Or simply it can be defined as involuntary leakage of urine. Incontinence is not as such a normal part of aging, nor is it a disease. Coming on the types of incontinence, urinary incontinence can be divided into 5 major types: stress urinary incontinence, urge urinary incontinence, detrus or overactivity, mixed type of urinary incontinence, and functional one. Coming on stress urinary incontinence, it can be defined as involuntary leakage of urine on exertion or with sneezing or coughing. Now, if symptoms or signs of the stress urinary incontinence is confirmed by objective testing, it is known as urodynamic stress urinary incontinence. Coming on epidemiology, as stated earlier, prevalence is about 25 to 55% women worldwide, with stress urinary incontinence constituting about 49% of the total. It is also more common in females and in older age group, mainly menopausal ones. Coming on pathophysiology, main pathophysiology behind this is failure of urethra to maintain the watertight seal during the stress conditions. The basic mechanism behind this failure is poor urethral support and intrinsic sphincter deficiency. Now, various etiological factors which are responsible for causing stress urinary incontinence is anatomic and neurological injuries of the pelvic floor during childbirth, genetic susceptibility, that is decreased tissue strength, behavioral aspects in case of smoking, obesity, occupational hazards, and some confounding medical conditions such as chronic pulmonary obstructive diseases, aging, and estrogen deficiency. Now, coming on effect of childbirth, childbirth causes connective tissue disruption, injury to the pelvic floor muscles, and neurological injuries. Now, how childbirth causes trauma? It can be seen here with this diagram, which shows when larger diameter of fetal head passes through the birth canal, it causes stretching of the vaginal wall, further causing stretching and tearing of the pubocervical fascia. It can also cause compression of the contents of the pudendal canal against the pelvic wall, leading to neurological injuries, and stretching and tearing of rectovaginal septum as well as levator ani muscle can also occur. Now, here it can be seen that due to connective tissue disruption, in case of normal connective tissue in the pelvic floor, during increased intra-abdominal pressure, it forces urethra against the intact pubocervical fascia and closes urethra and maintaining the continence. While in case of connective tissue disruption, defective fascial support allows posterior rotation of uterovaginal junction due to increased pressure and causes opening of the urethra and urine loss. Now, for making a diagnosis, apart from history, physical examination, routine blood and urine analysis, a very simple outdoor procedure can be performed, which is known as Q-tip test. In this test, a cotton swab is placed in the urethra, which is almost horizontal at the rest in case of normal, while exaggerated upward angle of more than 12 degree at rest and more than 13 degree during Valsalva is considered as evidence of the urethral hypermobility. Apart from this, various other investigation can also be done, such as cystoscopy, urodynamic study, uroplometry, etc. Coming on the management options, stress urinary incontinence can be managed with preventive and definitive measures. Preventive measures include avoiding childbirth trauma, such as to cut short the second stage of labor, and managing the risk factors such as obesity, cough, chronic COPDs. And coming on definitive treatment, it involves conservative as well as surgical procedures. Conservative management include pelvic floor exercises, use of vaginal devices, use of vaginal cone, and electric stimulation procedures. Now coming on various surgical options, starting from surgical goals for the stress urinary incontinence is to restore the urinary continence, to preserve the normal micturition, to free of bladder outlet obstruction, not to create newly developed urge incontinence or exacerbate the existing urge incontinence, and lastly not to jeopardize the renal function. Now various surgical procedures available for stress urinary incontinence are starting from some historical one, that is anterior repair in the form of Su's anterior repair, Kelly's plication procedure, and radial suspension procedures such as Pereira procedure, Stamey, Raz and Gitti's bladder neck suspension procedures. And thirdly is a paravaginal repair. Now currently popular surgical procedures for stress urinary incontinence includes retropubic urethroplasty in the form of Marshall-Marchetti-Kranz procedure, Birch-Falco suspension procedure, modified Birch procedures, and laparoscopy Birch urethroplasty. Vaginal sling procedures such as Algis procedure, periurethral bulking, and tension-free synthetic tape such as tension-free vaginal tape and tension-free obturator tape. Now aims of corrective surgery is to compress outlets such as in Kelly's plication, to deposit and restore sphincter unit to higher intra-abdominal pressure such as in anterior colporality, to restore pressure transmission differential as in case of Marshall-Marchetti-Kranz procedure, Birch procedure and Liddell procedures, and to provide a backboard such as Darlene sling procedures, to coax outlet at rest in case of intrinsic sphincter deficiency as done by the bulking agents. Now coming on newly surgical approaches for the stress urinary incontinence, starting from retropubic urethroplasty. It is the gold standard surgical treatment for stress urinary incontinence in patients with a mobile bladder neck and normally functioning urethra. It includes Birch procedure and its modification and Marshall-Marchetti-Kranz procedure. Now in Birch retropubic urethroplasty, via retropubic approach, paraurethral tissue 2 cm lateral to urethra are sutured with the ipsilateral collateral ligament, Cooper's ligament, which can be seen here with this diagram. And in case of Marshall-Marchetti-Kranz procedure, also done via retropubic approach, paraurethral tissues quite close to urethra are sutured with the fibrocartilage of the pubic symphysis. Now in both Birch and MMK procedures, both of these act via changing in pressure points on urethra during the periods of stress, and cure rate for both is 85 to 90%. And there are some limitations for these procedures, as these cannot be performed in patients with type 3 stress urinary incontinence, that is with fixed urethra, with central defects such as cystocele and rectocele, and in patients willing for childbirth. Now coming on pubovaginal sling operation procedures. The concept behind this is placing a material under the urethra and suspending it to the abdominal tissues. The sling act like hammock to support the urethra. Now various materials which are used as sling includes natural as rectus fascia and fascia lata, and synthetic one as nylon, merceline, sialistic and proline. Now rate of success of the pubovaginal sling procedure is more consistent than with the other procedures, with cure rates approximately 80% and improvement rating of 90%. Autologous material suggested to have higher cure and lower complication rates. Now coming on complications of the pubovaginal sling operation, for natural slings, there may be widening dysfunctions, long-term self-catheterization and de novo detrusor instability. All these complications are further less in case of allogenic Cadver grafts. For synthetic one, there may be vaginal erosion, urethral erosion and de novo detrusor instability, and further removal or revision may be needed in few cases. Now coming on tension-free vaginal tape, this surgery is introduced in 1995-96 by Urmston and Petros. In this is a knotted monofilament proline mesh of more than 75 micron pore size,